Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 4 of the official AFC Portchester podcast. My name is James McIntosh, and today we've got an absolute treat for you today. I'm joined by none other than new Portuguese signing, Ryan Woodford. Ryan, how are you doing today, mate?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing great, mate. Absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. But our first question's got to be, how are you finding life in Portugal?
Yeah, the weeks have been really, really good. Obviously, I've known about the team for a while and the direction, like the club that way since I've been there. Really, I know quite a few of the lads already. Spoke to the manager before, but yeah, I'm just really enjoying it, taking it for what it is, and yeah, just happy to be there. Really.
Well, I think we should start from the start of your career. How did you really get into football originally?
Um, Start with really, like most people. When I was younger, my dad played. Probably, I was probably too young to remember him playing properly, but then he went into management, just a local team really, and I just over time, and I'd be there with the football. Like as long as I had a ball, I was happy. And he used to take me to all his matches, and then he actually ended up doing the youth team, which again, local team. Um, he done our side, so yeah, that's how I got into it. Really, just through my dad. To be honest, he was kind of the biggest influence.
Well, I think you joined Eastleigh, the academy at Eastleigh at a young age. Can you tell me a bit about that?
No, I didn't go to Eastleigh, so I started out just played for a local side where I grew up. I played there until I was about 11, and then I signed for Portsmouth. Yeah.
Oh, wow, wow. Well, I think Portsmouth, they would have been a Premier League club at the time, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so the whole time I was there, they were. So I was there for since I was 11 until the age of 17. So
Oh, what?
yeah, cool experience. Yeah, they were in the Premier League. It was nice being around that, but it made it that more tougher to get in the side sort of thing. So yeah.
Well, I was just going to build up upon that. How did you actually get into academy football? Because a couple of my guests, they've started out like with non-league teams. So how do you actually get into an academy? Is it like a different process or just anything?
Um, there was. It's kind of like called a development centre that was running on the Isle of Wight, where I'm from. And I was going there for a few years and kind of ended up doing okay, as it were. So yeah, I just got asked to go over for a trial, and yeah, it was quite a long process actually. I was on trial for quite a while, but in the end, ended up signing, and then that was it. Then really, I was at Portsmouth till I was 17.
Well, you mentioned you lived on the Isle of Wight. Did you have to make like the travel every day then to their training pitch, or did you do something on the Isle of Wight to help with it?
Yeah, it's very similar to what I do now in terms of travel. So we would train 2 nights a week, and I would leave school and obviously commute over and train. Feels like I've been doing it my whole life, which I have really. But yeah, it started there really, to be honest. Commuting, and then obviously we would play on a Sunday morning. And then when I got offered my scholarship, I actually went over to live in Portsmouth in digs for 2 years. So yeah, that was different as well. Like I enjoyed that as well. But yeah, I love living where I am. To be honest, I've got 2 young kids now, so it's a nice place for them to grow up, and I enjoy watching them play now. So yeah, I wouldn't really want to be anywhere else.
So, was football always kind of your main priority? Did you always want a job in football, or did you mainly like want to do something part time, or did you always just want to focus on going full time in football?
Yeah, to be fair, I was like most lads that get into football. To be fair, I was no good at school. Like, not I wasn't misbehaved, but I just didn't. Yeah, I had this vision that I wanted to play football, and at the time, yeah, I didn't want to do anything else. I never really like. I'll always encourage my kids now, like, to try a bit harder than I did. But yeah, I was just adamant I was going to play football. So, and that was it. And my last year at school, I obviously had a scholarship offer from Portsmouth. So I kind of knew I'd be going into that, which, I should have done a lot better academically, but that's the way it was. I just had a clear vision what I wanted to do, really.
And then also, like we previously mentioned, Pompey, they were in a Premier League academy at the time. So did this reflect their academy status as well? So were you playing higher academy teams as well?
Yeah, to be fair, so when I first joined, we were like a centre of excellence, as it were. And the year on my scholarship, the club then transitioned into an academy.
Oh, wow.
So, it was cool. So before we would play the likes of like EFL teams like Wickham or Cheltenham, a lot of teams like that. But then once we went to academy, you'd then, like you say, play other Premier League academies, and so that was good. Like, it was a good experience. I enjoyed that.
So would you say it was Pompey that really helped establish you into the player you are today? Like, helped to establish you into the midfielder?
To be fair, I don't know, it's difficult. I always think academy football is brilliant in terms of like your development as a player. But I would say men's football and the standard we play now and the standard I've played in non-league is, I think you really grasp the game a bit more when you go into men's football, you know. Academy football all looks very nice and stuff, but earlier you can get yourself into men's football and get that experience of what football's actually like, you know. Because academy games you play and it's all about development, but results are a little bit irrelevant. But as soon as you kind of delve yourself into men's football, like you're playing to win and stuff. So I think the earlier you can do that, like it's definitely better, to be honest.
Well, you did play your fair share of the under-18 games at Pompey, but did you ever kind of feel you wanted a bigger challenge? So maybe a loan move, or did this kind of spark your way out of Pompey?
Yeah, to be fair, I never went out on loan. In all fairness, I did have a bad injury, which kept me out the majority of my first year, my scholarship. But yeah, loans were never really put on the table for me, to be honest. I was just in and around the club trying to do as well as I could. But yeah, it wasn't really on the cards for me. Like I wouldn't be against it, you know. I just wanted to play football, and but in the end, it didn't quite work out, which it doesn't for a lot of people, you know. It's really, really tough to be a professional footballer. I understand that, and but yeah, I don't regret anything. I wouldn't do anything any different, you know. I've loved playing non-league since I left Portsmouth, you know, and I still do now. So yeah, no regrets really.
Well, I think you did get to quite a good standard with Pompey. Like, I think you even got a shirt number 48, was it?
Yeah. So I did get a first team shirt number, but I'll be perfectly honest, it didn't make me any closer to making the first team squad. I think it was just it was a difficult time to break into the first team, because obviously they were playing in Europe then, and there was Portsmouth were still are obviously a big club, but in terms of where they were playing football, you know, they were playing the likes of AC Milan and stuff. So to be perfectly honest, I never felt I was that close to the first team squad. But yeah, to have a shirt number is nice, but ultimately in the end it didn't really mean anything, to be honest.
And then also, like you said, you did eventually leave Portsmouth. But when you were leaving Pompey, did you have any backup plans? Because I know a lot of youngsters these days, they've got no plans at all and just find it so hard getting rejected. So was this a similar situation for you?
Yeah, no, it's a good point, to be honest. And I would encourage anyone else to... it's very easy, when you're in that environment, to get caught up and think, I'm going to do this, but yeah, one of my biggest regrets was I was so tunnel vision. I wanted to be a footballer. I probably didn't do as much as I should have, in terms of when that rejection comes, and I didn't really, have anything else to fall back on. I always thought I was still going to play football. I had a few trials when I left Portsmouth. I went up to Doncaster for a few weeks. They were in the Championship then, and that was a good experience. But again, I still felt that I could, do football as a career. but yeah, looking back now, I was probably a little bit naive, and I would encourage like anyone that's young in the game, in that sort of full-time football, to really do a little bit more. You know, it won't be natural, but do a little bit more in case things don't work out, because there is a lot that doesn't work out, you know.
So do you think the academy system kind of needs a lot more work done to it? Because even these days, I'm not sure if you've watched it, but Crystal Palace, they've recently done a documentary about the academy system. And basically, in my opinion, it's just broken, really.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, you know, hindsight's a funny thing, isn't it? And I think as you get older, you wish you knew then what you know now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny, because I always think, if somebody would have said what I'm saying now to me then, would I have listened? I think I was so set out on what I was going to do. But no, I definitely agree. It's something that needs to be looked at heavily, because you know, a lot of the time, that's what I like about the Crystal Palace programme. A lot of the time, especially with social media and everything now, you hear all the good things and the people that make it, but ultimately in the end there's thousands that don't as well. So I think they need to be looked after as well. So yeah.
So, in a weird way, do you think you could kind of like maybe help younger players? Because I know Harrison Brook, he was a former academy player at Portsmouth, and I know he's obviously come to Portchester. So, do you think maybe in the future, perhaps, we'll touch on this a bit later as well, but do you think you can kind of give these younger players that have dropped down maybe a boost? Because you've been in that similar situation.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, you know, I'd speak to anyone that would like to listen, really. Yeah, you can help them, because I look at Harrison now, and is he 19, 20? He's probably...
yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he's still got so much of his career ahead of him. And one thing I have learned through non-league as well is, you know, players can still get where they want to be going through the non-league ladder, you know. And you can get back to where you want to go. You know, you get released and it is a setback, but at the same time, I've known a lot of players through the years that have gone back into league football, and you know, and also like people can have good non-league careers as well. You know, I know who have done really well at non-league football. Yeah, it's just about like keeping your confidence, you know, and that's the thing about football. It's all opinions, you know. Someone might not like you, and someone might have a decision to say, we're not signing you, but it doesn't mean that's everybody else's opinion, you know. So yeah, my advice would just be, you know, stick at it, and it is difficult not to lose heart with it sometimes, but yeah, just stick at it. The most important thing is to be playing all the time, and enjoy it. Play somewhere where you're enjoying it, you're playing, and then I think the rest will kind of take care of itself.
Well, speaking of non-league great footballers, I think you're a great example of a non-league great footballer. And your first stint in non-league was at Havant and Waterlooville. And can you tell me a bit about your first stint and how that came up?
Yeah, so like I say, I trialled at a few clubs when I left Portsmouth. And then it came about, I got a phone call from Havant. They wanted me to go training. So I went training with Havant, obviously went well. And they were in the Conference South at the time, and yeah, I was 17, went there kind of open-minded really. Yeah, did well, and it all sort of started from there really. I managed to get myself in the team quite young, played a lot in my first season, felt like I'd done okay, like did well, but yeah, I think I was kind of a little bit naive to the standard of non-league at that point. Like, I was young, I'd come out of academy football and kind of thought like I should be doing well here, like I should be doing okay, but when I look back on it now, it was quite young to be playing in that side, but yeah, that's how it all come about really, the first spell, and yeah, I was there for years in the end, so.
Well, 17, it's really young. That's literally a year older than me. It's just crazy to think you were playing at such a high level at such a young age. But, like, non-league is such a hard standard of football. How did you cope, like, going from academy football to men's football? Because surely it must be a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, and that's like I said earlier. I think it's important to go and experience men's football as early as you can.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, it's I how do I say it? Like you're being chucked in at the deep end. There's some best way, sink or swim. And I loved it. Like I've always loved that side of the game. To be fair, the physical side of it, it's not something like I mind getting involved in. Like I don't mind that, and I felt like that just got better as I joined men's football. Because you're going up against grown men. They want to wrestle you. They want to beat you up. Like I don't mind that side of things. I've always enjoyed that. So I think it's important to do that as young as you can. And I just enjoyed it. To be fair, I kind of relished it.
And then also, when playing for non-league, you're not really just playing for yourself either. You're playing for the whole team. Like, I know a lot of non-league footballers say you're also playing for people, like, just to get a bit of extra money. So that extra win bonus. And that can pay for things like holidays, extra food, or stuff like that. So, did you realise the importance of it at first, or...?
Yeah, no, of course. Like, everyone does it for different reasons, whether that's money or the standard you want to play, but that's what you come up against. That there might be, you might come up against a grown man that is playing that level because he has to do that to pay his bills completely, and that's what you're up against. Like they're going to want to win and do what they can to win. So yeah, you do realise the importance of it pretty quickly, and a lot of players play for different reasons, and that's not right or wrong. And that's it really, yeah.
And then also, another big factor that you haven't really played before this time was fans. Like, you were playing in front of no fans to a lot more fans. So how was this? Like, transforming, really?
Yeah, I loved it. Like, I love that side of things. Like, when you grow up and you play football, you don't dream of playing for an old man and his dog watching. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in front of fans and have a little bit of atmosphere and that's like, that was the best thing. That was actually, now you say that, one of the best things when I started playing men's football at Havant, like non-league. I mean, we would probably get 600 people, but to me, like you say, from going from academy to playing in an open field with no people, to an atmosphere, with people there was, it was good. I enjoyed that, and I still love that now. Even if you go to away games and you got opposite fans like hurling abuse at you, like that's good. It all adds to it. That's what you want, because it's difficult to create an atmosphere when you're not playing in front of anyone. So yeah, I've always enjoyed that side of it.
And then also, you mentioned about the opposing fans. Like, how did you get used to that? Because I know some players, they kind of like getting the abuse because it kind of motivates them. Was this a similar case with you, or...?
Yeah, definitely. I always think if they're hurling abuse at you, 9 times out of 10, like, it's a good thing, that they recognise you and they recognise that they might not like the way you're playing, tackling, or doing something. If they leave you alone 9 times out of 10, that's because I always think if they're hurling abuse at you, you're doing all right, kind of thing. So yeah, I've always enjoyed that kind of side of things, like the interaction with like opposite fans, like a bit of banter here and there, like. Yeah, I think that's what it's all about, and that's what I like about non-league. You go to games and you get that little bit closer. Fans and players can be that little bit closer. Like you can have a beer in the bar after or something. And I always like that side of it, and because what it's like. You go to a Premier League game and you watch the game, and then you're off home. You don't get anywhere near to what you get at non-league. So in that sense, yeah, I think it's a good thing.
And then you did mention about the fans, how you get like a connection with the fans as well. Was this important for you? Like, surely this must have been a massive positive compared to playing for Bumpy, getting to know the fans.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, like it's always nice when people like you or think you're a good player or think you deserve to be in the team. Yeah, it's not the be all or end all, but it's always obviously nice to be liked. Wherever you are, you want people to think you're a good player and. Yeah, it is important because first of all, like you want to do well for yourself, but then you also want to do well for the team and the fans and the club, and if you buy into all that, it ends up being good,
And then, yeah, you got this praise from playing lots of games, because I think in your first season you played 16 games, or quite a lot of games for your standard, like as soon as you were just coming in pretty much. And surely it must have been hard to sustain this fitness.
Yeah, to be fair, it is different because you go from training every day. But yeah, to be fair, early on in my career, I did struggle with injuries. I had a couple of bad injuries, which is why I should have probably played a lot more in my first season. And like you say, when you're younger, you're a little bit inconsistent as well. You know, sometimes it's not something you find till later in your career. You know, to have a young player that's consistent is like gold dust, really. But yeah, I always felt like I should have played a little bit more early in my career because I had a few bad injuries. But that's how it is. You know, I've been lucky enough for quite a few years now. Touch wood, I haven't had many bad ones since then. So yeah, it's all part and parcel of it, really.
Well, I was reading a report, and I think one of your worst ones was at Maidenhead. Like, you got knocked down, and I think you were out for a couple of games, like, towards the end of the season. And you were still young as well. So how did this, like, affect you? Like, your mental and physical health?
Yeah, to be fair, it was disappointing because I felt like I was doing well and I was in the team and playing. And it was actually my back. I had a real bad back injury. I just had a joint that just kept popping in and out. And yeah, ultimately in the end, I just had to rest that which meant, you know, I missed a chunk of the season, missed the rest of the season really, which was frustrating. But I think you kind of get to understand that, like, that's football. You know, it's just the way it goes, luck of the draw really. You can't. People will always be injured. People won't. You know, that's just part of football.
But also, in a weird sort of way, does it more affect your mental health? Because I know one injury, that can just mess up the whole of your career. I mean, look at Aaron Ramsey. I think he broke his leg. And after that injury, just never the same player, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think, yeah, it does. Like, people, you know, it's difficult. When people come back, you know, they sometimes don't feel the same. And it can be a lonely place, you know, especially, you know, for me, it was a bit different because I was working and still doing my day-to-day life. But I think when you're a professional footballer, all the other lads go out and train and you're stuck in a gym, and it can be quite, you know, you're stuck with your own thoughts. But yeah, you know, you just got to kind of take it for what it is and never get too high, never get too low, really. Just kind of take it for what it is and take it in your stride and do your best to get back to where you want to be, you know?
Yeah, and despite getting these injuries, your form was incredible at your age as well. And I think, was it your second season at Havant as well? You got awarded the captaincy?
I can't think of. I don't think it was the second, but I was the captain reasonably young. Yeah, but that's another thing. Like, captaincy don't really. I try and play the same way, regardless of whether I'm captain or not. You know, I think it's just an armband, to be honest. Obviously, it's nice, but yeah, I think you can still be a positive influence whether you got an armband or not. You know, like I said, it's a nice thing to have, but yeah, again, it's not the be or end all, really.
And then overall, looking at your first stint at Havant, would you say it was definitely the right move?
Yeah, I loved it, to be fair. Like I said, and I said loads earlier, playing men's football so young is definitely a positive. And my first spell, yeah, I must admit, I loved it. I loved playing for Havant the whole time I was there, to be honest. You know, the fans are great. It's a good club. They've gone in a different direction now, but yeah, all the time I was there, I really enjoyed my football at Havant.
Well, to be fair, I cannot wait to talk about your second stint at Havant because we have got a great story ahead of us. But can we talk a bit about Gosport as well next as well? Your stint at Gosport. So how did that come on the cards?
To be fair, again, it was very similar to like Portchester now. I knew quite a few of the lads at Gosport, and I was good friends with them. And it was towards the end of my first spell at Havant. I kind of felt I was in and out of the team. I wasn't starting every week, and I think I was 25 at the time. I kind of thought to myself, I'm 25 now. I kind of want to be playing every single week, and yeah, I need to be playing most games. So kind of came to the decision at the end of the season that I was going to leave Havant, and Gosport was a good fit for me, really. They were in the same league. It was very similar travel-wise, they were local again, and I knew a lot of the players, so it all kind of just fell into place, really.
So, did you mainly join Gosport for the game time?
Yeah, that was the thought behind my decision, really. Just wanted to play every week and somewhere where I was enjoying it. Not that I wasn't enjoying it, but obviously when you're not playing as a footballer, you never best pleased. So it was really the main reason was for playing time, and I was very lucky when I went there for that season. I did play kind of 95% of the games for Gosport, so in the end it ended up being the right move.
And then, like you said, you played pretty much every game. You kind of rekindled your form a bit, and this form, it pretty much led to you rejoining Havant. Yeah.
So at the time, I played. It was the same manager at Havant, Lee Bradbury, and I had a good season at Gosport. To be fair, I played, like I said, 95% of the games. Gosport were kind of having slight money trouble in terms of, and they were kind of going in a direction that it's funny how it worked, because Havant got relegated from the league we were in that season, but I just felt like I could go back to Havant, still play the same amount of games, like have good game time, and although they'd gone a league below, like it was an unbelievable side that they had there at the time, and the players that were being brought in, and the project of it all really just made me go back, and it all worked out all right in the end, to be fair.
So you must have been quite excited when joining Havant again. You must have had quite warm arms opening to you, kind of, to the deal. Like, you already knew some of the fans, and I'm guessing you already knew some of the players as well. So was it quite easy rejoining again?
Yeah, no, definitely. It was pretty seamless, to be honest. There was still quite a few of the lads from when I played previously, and some of the new players that were even signed, like Rory Williams, who I've played with for years. He left Gosport as well and signed at the same time. A lot of local lads I knew, Jason Pryor, like I'd played against them with before. So all the team. Yeah, and it was like you say, I knew all the fans and the club already, so it was pretty seamless for me to go back there, really.
Well, it was a fantastic team, Havant, and it pretty much was obviously going to result in promotion with your first season. But surely it must have still been great to get promoted with Havant as well.
That first season was incredible. To be fair, I think it was nice in the sense that, like you say, I think we were expected to go up, but I think that comes with more added pressure, to be honest. We had the sort of team that people expected us to win the league, and when you win it, it was incredible. Like, it was the first league I'd ever won, and it's almost like more relief than it was anything else, to be honest, because we were expected to win it, but it did go down to the final day, and that was tense. But it was just relief. And one thing I will say is that team we had was just like incredible to play in. The lads were unbelievable. We just had a really good dressing room, and I think that helped us have the success we had, to be fair.
Well, actually, speaking about that, how important is chemistry within the team? Like, I know some players, like they say, you must have a good team morale. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why Arsenal's doing so well at the moment in the table. Because I'm not sure if you've seen the new documentary about Arsenal, All or Nothing. But the way Mikel Arteta's changed the room, it's completely changed the team as well. So how important would you say chemistry is within the team?
Oh, like, the most important thing, I think. I've learned kind of as I've got older that, having a togetherness and a team spirit is the most important thing, to be honest. And I've been lucky enough to play in teams like that, like towards the back end of my career. And I've played in teams that haven't had that, and I realise now I'm a little bit older and managed to win a few things and not win things, like how important that is. And I must admit, like, we definitely had that, and the teams are like, I could see that at Portchester as well. To be fair, there's like the lads are like great. To be fair, they're different class. Like they got a real good togetherness, and I just hope I can come in and kind of slot into that. But yeah, it's huge. I think any team that wins something is always together. You know, that you don't do it unless you're all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet, to be honest.
Well, after you did get that first initial promotion, was the next objective immediately to get like promoted again, or was it more just to sustain kind of a good level?
Yeah, to be fair, we just kind of picked up where we left off, to be honest. Winning games, it wasn't. We never really spoke about a target, to be fair, at the beginning of the season. We obviously know like it's a difficult level. I'd played in that league for quite a few years, and yeah, it's tough, but we kind of started where we left off. I think we brought in one player that season, and it was a striker, and that was the only addition we had to the squad, and we kind of just carried on with that togetherness, won a lot of games, and we found ourselves at Christmas near the top of the table, and at the end of the year, we just carried on, really, just kept winning games, and obviously we were confident because we'd gone a couple of seasons then without losing many games, so it just kind of carried on, to be honest, and then you find yourself with 3-4 games to go in with a chance, and yeah, we managed to do it in the end.
Well, to be fair, the only way I could really describe that season was as a fairy tale, kind of. It almost seemed perfect, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you kind of don't. Now I look back at it, I think, you know, it was good. It was so good. But when you're in that moment, you don't kind of look at it in that sense. You're just concentrating on winning games, and you're too involved in it, to be honest. But yeah, obviously to win any league is difficult. You know, like no matter what standard you play, whether that's Sunday League or Premier League, it's difficult to win any leagues because you've got to win a lot of games of football. But yeah, we just, like I said before, kind of carried on from where we left off. We were confident and together and just kept winning games of football, yeah, and ultimately in the end it led to us winning the league again.
Well, I think it was the last 2 matches of the season. You know when you beat East Thurrock? Or is it East Thurrock? That must be one of the craziest moments, because I think you won 6-1 or something.
Yeah, to be fair, even to this day, like, it's one of the craziest games I've played in. So we that was our game in hand over Dartford, who were at the top. And we were 3 points behind, but we were like 3-4 goal difference behind. And I remember it being a tight game. It was a midweek game, and it was 1-1 at half time. And you're thinking in your head, like, we just need to nick it, just need to win the game. Yeah. And then we got 2-1 ahead, and then 3-1 ahead, and like the last 10 minutes, we got 3 more goals. Ended up winning 6-1. Yeah. It was just a bit of a whirlwind, really. Like, the atmosphere that night was like, yeah, it was still to this day. When I look back at it, one of the best games I've ever played in. Yeah, it was wicked.
And then surely the post-match reactions must have been fantastic as well, because you actually knew at this point you could win the league. It was in your hands.
Yeah, to be fair, we'd gone top that night, but again, it was one of those things where, like, yeah, it was really good, but then we knew Saturday, if we didn't win, you know, we could ultimately, it wouldn't mean anything anyway, you know. So we were happy at the time. Like, it was nice to win that game 6-1 and get ourselves to the top. But at the end of the day, if we didn't win it on the final day, we wouldn't be going up anyway. So it was kind of enjoy it and then just kind of focus on that Saturday to come, yeah.
And then Concord Rangers. I think that must be surely one of the biggest days of the club's history, really. And then you were playing in the match. So how important was it? Like, did you have to do any like extra training for that day or something?
No, to be fair, it was we had East Thurrock on the Tuesday, and then I think we would have trained on the Thursday as normal. And then it was very much just what we had done all season, really. Just try not to think about what can happen after the game too much. Just kind of try and do what we've been doing all season, and just try and go and win the game. And and we knew if we won, we'd have won the league and we were promoted, but obviously it started so well, the game. We went ahead early, and then we were 2-0 up at half time, and it felt like we were cruising really, and it was all, you could kind of enjoy it a little bit, but then football's like that, changed quick. Like it went 2-1, then we were 2-2 with literally stoppage time to go. Feel like this is it, like we've blown it. But yeah, what happened after that, like in the last minute, was just it was incredible. Like it was probably not at the time, like it's horrible, it's nerve-wracking, but if you're going to do it, it's probably the best way to get promoted, like with a last minute winner. So it all worked out good, yeah.
Well, I was in the crowd at the time, so all the Hawks fans were just bricking it, I think. Were you the same? Yeah. Were you kind of bricking it as well, or were you kind of keeping it calm?
To be honest, I think we missed a chance, like...
Yeah, who was it? I think it was Collins, was it? He hit over the crossbar?
Yeah, I think it was James Hayter.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Had a header and he just missed a chance, and I thought, to be honest, I can't lie, like I was thinking on the pitch, like we've blown it, like this is it.
Yeah.
But yeah, luckily we got one more chance, took it, and then it was just scenes. It was it was.
And then pretty much as soon as the goal went in, it must have been a couple extra minutes. I think a couple extra minutes added time. Yeah. And then it just went full, pretty much craziness. All the fans pitch invaded.
Yeah, just a pitch invasion. Just it was a good night, to be fair. We didn't really do a lot. We stayed at the club and celebrated, and then I think we ended up going into Gunwharf. But it was all a bit of a whirlwind, to be fair, at the time. Like it had been a long season, but in the end, we were all buzzing, and like you say, you're more happy for your mates because it felt like I was playing with my mates. Like we had a real good team that year, and we were all buzzing, to be fair.
Well, I think as soon as the game pretty much ended, I think all the fans came and lifted you up. I think it was you and Pryor that they lifted up. Surely this must have been surreal. And I think, was it BT Sport as well? BT Sport were filming the game, I believe.
BT might have been there, to be fair. I'm not sure. Obviously, there was a few platforms there, like a few non-league football stuff. And, but yeah, to be fair, I was just soaking it all up. It was just a great feeling, and when we won the league the first season, it was away, so it was nice to do it at home and have people there, like in front of your own fans, and it was good. Like it was one of the best days I've had in football.
And then I think when we did, I'm not sure if it was the same day actually. I'm pretty sure it was the same day, but each player, they got like a little announcement, so you would come out and then all the fans. Surely this must have been a magical moment for you.
Yeah, it was cool, like you say, you just it wasn't it's nice, but I did, the personal stuff's nice, but I was more happy, like, as a team and everyone that was involved, that we won it, to be honest. Anything that went after that was just, you get your medal and stuff, but you're just buzzing that you won the league, really. It wasn't about anything else.
So, looking back at this time, would you say this has been kind of the highlight of your career?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, without a doubt. Winning those back-to-back promotions. And I remember James Hayter said, and it's so true, like he's won loads in his career. He's won, he's been promoted to the Championship and loads of football leagues. And he kind of said that as you get older, you realise that those days don't happen often, and it's so true. You got to try and soak it up and enjoy it at the time, because then since then, that was probably, what would it be now, probably 5-6 years ago now.
I think it was.
Not come close since, so you do kind of appreciate that those days don't come around often, so you got to soak it all up and enjoy it.
And then I think it was after this season you left Havant, and then you joined Gosport again?
Yeah, so I went back to Gosport. Actually, player that I played with, Lee Molyneux, for my second spell at Havant, he had left Havant and he got the job at Gosport. And again, it was like, I felt like a boomerang. Like I'd been to Gosport, Havant, and then So again, it was one of those things that kind of just fell nicely at the time. Gosport, he had got the Gosport job and haven't had a new manager, which they still have now, kind of wanted to go in a different direction. They kind of went more full-time as such. And it all just kind of fell into place, really. And again, going back there was pretty seamless. It was a place I'd been before, and I just enjoyed it again, yeah.
And then I think you spent a couple of seasons with Gosport, and you even won Player of the Season, Fans Player of the Season, I think. So surely this must have been nice as well. A bit of appreciation, but instead of a team appreciation, more for yourself.
Yeah. So that was my first season back, and I'd obviously the previous season had the season with Havant in the conference. So again, it was a new experience for me. Even that, playing that level, and felt like I was in a good place and playing quite well, and I kind of just carried that over into my first season at Gosport. And yeah, like you say, they are nice, the individual ones, and I know it's a bit cliche, but I'd take winning leagues and getting promotion over any personal kind of stuff. It's nice. Like, you lie and say it's not, but I'd rather the team win than have individual stuff at the end.
And also, I'm not sure if it was this season or the following, but then obviously COVID hit, and this had a massive impact on football completely. I think it must have been your second season, I believe. But obviously no football. What was this like for you?
Yeah, it was just. I think it was just a weird time for everyone, wasn't it? A lot of people had a lot of things that, at the end of the day, football is important, but it's not the most important thing in the world. A lot of people were stopped from doing things far more important than football. It obviously wasn't nice, but it was just. There was kind of not comfort, but you knew everybody was the same. You knew no one was playing football. You kind of just, it became the new normal almost, didn't it? It was weird to start with, but everybody kind of adapted in the end. And I think now, like playing, I'm older and, might only do it for a few more years. So I think I just appreciate it a little bit more. You have a couple of seasons where you don't really play. I think it was 2 seasons that was cut short with COVID. So, you just got to kind of enjoy it for as long as you can.
And then I know initially the first couple of games when we were starting to return, there were no fans. But after we did get fans back, how great was this?
Yeah, like I said earlier, and I said, like when you grow up, you want to play football in front of as many people as you can. Like anything you do in life, I think you want people to watch and appreciate it. And it's obviously a lot nicer when you play in front of fans as opposed to playing with no atmosphere at all.
And then obviously after you Gosport, you joined Portchie, and then like you said, that kind of came on the cards. What made you kind of want to join Portchie? Because I know Gosport, they're obviously a league higher. So do you kind of feel it was a drop down, or like?
Not really. Like, I've kind of, I'm at the stage of my career now where I've played probably the highest level I'll play. And Portchester are a team that were obviously flying top of the league, and like I said to the manager, I almost kind of wanted to join and be part of this team this year, hopefully to try and get promotion. And then again, I feel like Portchester, the way it's set up and the things it's doing now is higher than the Wessex League. That's just my personal opinion. And I think it's ready to go up a league and get promoted. And I looked at that as well, and again, just wanted to go there and enjoy it.
So, looking at Portchester, do you think promotion is on the cards this year?
Yeah, definitely. If you're top of the table with the amount of games we have to go, I think it's like 14 games to go.
Yeah.
At this stage of the season, the league table doesn't lie to anyone. You're where you're meant to be. So, definitely. Like I said before, the way the club's set up and everything around the place is definitely set up to get promoted. That doesn't mean like you that's just going to happen. You have to kind of earn it. But yeah, definitely they can get promoted.
So these are the goals for this year, but what are your ambitions for life after football, perhaps? So are you looking to go maybe to managerial route or coaching routes? Or
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's kind of something I look at, and I think I would enjoy. But I'm kind of one of those people that when I'm doing something at the moment, I kind of just concentrate on that as opposed to looking too far ahead. I still think I can play for a good few more years at the moment, so it might be something I think about in a couple of years' time or a bit later on. But at the moment, I'm just concentrating on enjoying playing and playing for as long as I can.
so reflecting over your career as well, what would be your number one highlight of your career?
Yeah, definitely the back-to-back promotions, without a doubt. Promotions are the best thing about football. Like I said, no matter what level you play, and whether it's Sunday League or Premier League, like I said earlier, promotions are good. You know that's what you play for. You want to look back and say you won things in your career, kind of thing. So yeah, definitely the back-to-back promotions. Yeah.
And do you have any final words for the podcast?
No, thanks for having me, and hopefully I can do as well as I can for Portchester, for the team, for everyone at the club, and hopefully again it'll be another promotion, which would be nice. And and that's the goal really. I just want to do as well as I can, and if that helps the team, then that's the best thing at the end of the day.
Well, it's been great having you on, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been fantastic hearing your tales. Like that Havant one, absolutely brilliant. I'm looking forward to meet you in real life as well, mate.
Yeah, no, thanks, mate, and thanks for the opportunity. And yeah, like I say, if you're at home game, just come and grab me and we'll have a chat.
Oh, cool, mate. So I'll see you. Hopefully, I'll see you at Bournemouth, I think.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, I'll see you down there, and hopefully we can go down there and bounce back and get 3 points Saturday.
Yeah. Final words. Come on, Porchy.
Come on.